thank you for sort of sharing your story. We find it to be a good,
Sure.
doing this is, I think, a good exercise in sort of mentoring the community too. That's, our Dutch community, and potential community kind of, I think everybody's sort of telling their story, because it always is kind of a story how you venture into this space or hormone health or anything. So what inspired you to become a healthcare practitioner?
Well, I originally started undergrad wanting to be a doctor back in '88, and I chickened out and ended up getting a business degree. And I worked in production management for probably, oh, good heavens, 15 to 20 years, somewhere in there. Didn't like what I was doing, so I went back to school and finished up my prereq for medical school. And I was actually, I didn't even know naturopathic medicine existed at the time. And I was ready to go regular allopathic medicine, medical school, and met an internal medicine doctor, and she did acupuncture. And talking to her, I was really intrigued by that, and she learned to do acupuncture at Bastyr University. And so when I got on their website to look at acupuncture, then I learned about naturopathic medicine, and I switched right away. I don't have any great story about, growing up I always wanted to be a doctor or anything like that. It was something that I was interested in. I like working with people, I like helping people, and that kind of drew me to medicine. I've always been good at science, and so it kind of fit all those things. And once I got started in medical school, I really loved it, absolutely loved it. And I was working full time while I went to medical school. If I didn't love it, I would have never made it.
What other functional testing do you do in your practice?
Oof. That's a tough one. I do use Dutch a lot. There are a couple of saliva and urine panels from other companies that I use, but really rely on precision analytical for the hormone testing. I don't do a lot of other functional testing with other companies. I just like the Dutch kits. I like the way they're designed. I like how easy they are for the patients to use. But I do some other adrenal testing, not very much anymore. Some nutritional testing, some heavy metals, stuff like that. But predominantly my practice has become endocrine, thyroid, adrenals, sex hormones, some diabetic patients. And so I tend to rely on the Dutch test a lot because it is so complete.
What changes have you seen in your patients in practice since you incorporated Dutch test?
Well, that's a great question. So in the past, when women would come in, and I use the test predominantly with women, I do use it on some men. In the past with women using blood, there was still a lot of unknowns, right? There was still a lot of metabolites that I couldn't check for in blood, and so there was a lot of guesswork. Typically now with the Dutch testing, I get the results, I take an hour going through it with a patient, really explain what's happening, and it's allowed me to be very, very specific in treatments with a very good success rate right out of the get-go. I mean, probably somewhere in the 90 percentile of having success right off the bat.
Do you utilize Dutch testing as a baseline test? It sounds like.
Yes, typically yes, right? They come in, there's a hormone issue, and if they have symptoms that suggest pathway issues, then absolutely that's one of the first things I'll do.
Do you often do much follow-up testing after you prescribe treatment?
That's a great question. Not typically. The reason I don't typically do a lot of follow-up with the Dutch test is because once I know what's causing the symptoms, I'll monitor by the symptoms.
Where do you see functional and integrated medicine in 20 years from now?
I do a lot in biochemical pathways. That's why I like the Dutch test too. I can see what the enzymes are doing. I do work with a lot of patients that have methylation errors, for example, and I really see functional medicine moving that direction, really targeting treatments based off specific genetic factors and symptoms, right?
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that, but I would say I'm also cautious about that.
Eric, what do you do outside of work for fun?
Spend a lot of time with my family. My wife and I, we've been married 25 years. We have 4 kids, 3 adult children, 1 left at home, 1 granddaughter. Our kids are all still locally, although that's about to change here this next month. And so a lot of time with the family. We do a lot of outdoor activities, mountain biking. We're up on a local lake quite often this summer, snowing and ski boarding in the winter, hiking, camping, you know, those types of things.
Have you found that you're practicing more virtually? Have you integrated telemedicine, or had you already done that in your practice?
So I've always done some telemedicine. I practiced in Oregon and Washington before coming to Utah 40 years ago, and there are still some patients that I treat in Washington. I have patients as far away as Alaska, South Carolina, Texas that I get with, but I am very close to the Idaho border, so I do have some patients that'll come down and see me, and then we do some telemedicine.
So I appreciate you doing this with us.
Yeah, it's been interesting.